What's good with Fat Gang? It's your girl Mikki checking in, guys. And today, we are continuing our celebration of women in business. And today we have a very phenomenal guest with us here today. She wears lots of hats and she wears them all well. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Miss Amber and let her kind of introduce herself and explain her many talents.
Hi, I'm Amber. I am a journalist, a media creative, and a stand-up comic based in Los Angeles, California.
All right. So, first of all, thank you for coming on to the den today to talk to us.
Thanks for having me.
But how do you manage all of those, which are kind of all in different arenas, if you want to say that?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that I've worn several different hats throughout my professional career.
Okay.
I've always said that I wanted to use my 20s to explore and really find out what I wanted to do. And the constant that came from that was that I wanted to work for myself.
Okay.
Because I feel like I have a lot of different gifts and talents, and I enjoy working with a lot of folks to help them realize their vision.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that would be a professional creative path for me. So I started my own business. We made media last year. I primarily help folks organize and design and take their own podcast. So that has been great. Watching my clients go from having an idea about wanting to talk to putting stuff out there for the world to hear.
Okay. And so, how did we get into comedy?
Oh, that is an interesting story. So, when I was in graduate school, I started to explore the kink community in New York, and I had met a guy, got into a TF situation, and the day before my 30th birthday, he broke up with me because I technically aged out for him. So I was not expecting that to happen, whatever your kink is, do your thing, whatever. But I was hurt by it. I was like, what? You brought me out to the stand. You didn't have me leave my whole bag at your house. So I had to go back with him to his house to get my stuff. That's And I wanted to tell this story on stage. It was I was just feeling the type of way about it. And I'd always been thinking about doing comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But because I was a journalist, I didn't feel, and I was in journalism school at the time, I didn't really feel comfortable putting myself out there because, as a journalist, you're trained to not be the story, not to, post anything about your personal life. So I was very hesitant about getting on stage. But this particular moment was a catalyst for me. And I'm you know what, I'm going to tell somebody about this. So I went to an open mic. At the time, I was interning in Washington, D.C., and I just put it all on stage, and it did not go very well. The audience was not receptive. They had just heard from another brand new comic, so they were okay, we've already had somebody else Sunday talk to us today. So I was that was hurtful. So compounded hurt and ego bruised.
Mm-hmm.
But you just keep going. And so now I would say I've been performing consistently for about 6 months now in LA. So I was dipping in and out before the first time I did the mic, but I'd actually committed to my stand-up journey, and it took a while because I was worried about trying to hold on to my journalism career.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there's a new school of thought with journalism that folks are whole human beings outside of the work.
Okay.
So I'm not too much concerned anymore with living the life that I want to live, mm-hmm. and still being able to do my work well.
Okay.
But it took a lot of soul searching and a lot of back and forth. And I think the pandemic was really a catalyst for that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't live your life on anybody else's terms but your own, and everything can be changed in an instant. So you might as well do something that you're proud of and that makes you happy.
Girl, definitely understand that. And I just, I don't know, I've always, I'll crack a joke here and want to laugh, but I don't personally think I'm funny. But I commend you for going back up there, because if I ever tried to do that and I didn't feel like it went well, I'm okay, well, I tried it, cross it off the list, So I really commend you for going back up there and then being able to find that balance. Like you said, as a journalist, it's always, like you said, take yourself out of the equation, out of the story. It's not about you. Leave your feelings and everything at the door. But it's like with comedy, it's so, you have to have like a sort of vulnerability. You have to be able to put yourself in it to make it, so to speak, relatable.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite of what I was doing professionally.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I became a journalist right before Trump was elected. And before that, I was like really vocal on social media about like social justice issues. So it was also, very hard for me to remain silent, just publicly during that time.
Okay.
So, I was like, I can't continue to do this. I got to say something.
Okay.
Even if it's not like using, social media as a platform, to stand up stage.
Right. And so I know you say you're out of California right now.
Yeah.
But like, so where all kind of have you dabbled as far as your performing?
So I've done open mic and shows in Las Vegas, here all around California. I've gone to Arizona, I've gone to Texas. My partner and I, who's also a stand-up comic, we went on a tour earlier this year through the Southwest. So that was my first tour, and it was like very, everything that could go wrong did go wrong, but it was still like, a valuable experience. It was a lot of fun.
Okay. And so what would be like the biggest takeaway you've kind of learned about yourself being in like the comedy realm?
I've learned to, even if things are uncomfortable, just to continue to like push forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because even now, like I still talk myself out, or try to talk myself out of going on stage. Because it's like it's not necessarily the most comfortable experience,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm pretty, new on my comedy journey. So it's like my brain is always making excuses like, you don't have to do this, you did it yesterday, or like it'll be fine if you don't go rehearse. And it's like, I'm naturally inclined to want to shy away from the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just been really impressive to like watch myself, continue to push forward even if things are uncomfortable. And I haven't really had like, I would say my worst experience so far on stage was like the first time that I did it. So I think it's true, like every time you go up there, you get a little bit better, you learn something new, and just, continue to push yourself. Because in order to be good at something, you're going to have to be bad at it first.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, so don't let being bad stop you from being good.
And that is so amazing that you just said that, because I was going to ask you what would be some advice you would have for someone who's thinking about like starting a journey to just really open it up and trying something new with their life. And you just kind of said it, just kind of go for it. Just put yourself out there and just keep pushing forward. The first time, it's always that learning experience. You don't know. Just like when you jump in the water to go swimming. You don't know how to swim the first time. You have to continue to go and keep learning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And even like, I wasn't just jumping in without a life jacket. I have my nose on stage with me, which I know is frowned upon, but it's me having a little bit of a crutch for me to get underperform. I think that the benefit of getting up with my notes outweighs the detriment that I would have if I just didn't get up at all.
Right.
So I'm still working to get comfortable, working on my memory. I might smoke a little bit too much weed, but nothing else for you. So I'm trying to be better, and I'm realizing like my limitations and trying to work through those.
Okay. So, and as far as trying to, manage everything that you kind of have going on there, what would be some tips for someone you may have who may feel like, okay, I'm doing this job, but I really like this, so I want to add this. What would be kind of your tips for that person?
I would say don't necessarily be like me and quit a job. You have something else lined up, especially if you're like in the performance space. There are usually open mics you can go to, or like crowds that will be receptive for and supportive for your work. So especially if it's like a creative endeavor, just go out and start to do it. I think it's interesting for me because a lot of people come to LA when they're like at the top of their craft and they're ready to
word spreads, and then you can gain your popularity that way. Some people, I think, get into whatever the business or venture may be, and they think just start big. 'Cause that's the only way to go. You have to go big. And it's like, no, like you said, create that culture around you first, yeah, and build from there. Yeah. So I do like that. So I always kind of ask people what one piece of advice they would give, but like you kind of said, keep going. Like, wear your life vest. I remember that part. I remember that. But as far as Amber, the individual, how do you feel like women are represented in any form of business? Because you have business. So how do you think as a woman we are represented?
I think, as terrible as the pandemic was for a lot of people, it has also been a catalyst for particularly Black women to start their own businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was NPR I was listening to that the largest growing demographic of business owners during the pandemic were Black women. So I think that we're showing up in a big way. And I'm just, hoping that my, like pandemic startup business lasts beyond, just the next few months. And that I'm able to continue to partner with other, women in business. Like I was, for example, I'm thinking of it in terms of comedy, because comedy is also part of my business. I was recently on a show with all women, which is not very common. So it was just nice to be in a space where like women's voices were brought to the forefront. Because comedy has a tendency to be a very male-dominated activity. So it was just like refreshing to be on my first show that had like an all women's lineup. Everybody was hilarious and supportive, and seeing like all of those people come out just to hear from, women in comedy. So I just want to continue to do ventures that are prioritizing, communities that look like mine. So whether it be women-led businesses, whether it be businesses ran by Black folks, folks of color, queer-led businesses, I just think it's important to work with one another because we, like you said, people have a tendency to want to like start at the top, but there's so much like good in our community and people want to support you. So why not let them do that?
Right. And then, like you said, you build that consistent following behind your brands. And that will go a lot further sometimes than just getting, the quick people to just follow you because they may not always be supportive. Like they're saying they're following you, but are they really helping you and help building you up? So yeah, I really do appreciate that. So I want to say again, thank you for coming onto the den and just kind of talking to us and giving us a little bit into your world and all the amazing things that you are doing. I still don't know if I could ever get on the stage and do comedy, but I love to watch it. I love to watch it.
If I can do it, you can do it. It's all about, especially starting comedy like in my 30s. I feel like, especially with like social media, people are like, oh, if I want to do this, I'm starting this at like 17, 18, 19, started really young. Because I'm relatively on the older side, it seems like, in terms of my peers who have been doing comedy for a while. But I think it's just important to just do it. Like, don't feel insecure and have like, you have a story to tell. You lived a life. And I think that translates well on stage. Because you have something to actually talk about.
Is there like, how do I want to word this? Is there like just an extra dose or amount of like confidence you really just have to grow in yourself to be able to get up there? Because you said not every joke is going to go over well. Sometimes you may just have a tough crowd. So is there like, have you really found like in yourself, or have you found at all, like you really have to be confident in self to get up there?
Yes, I find that, I have to hype myself up. I do power poses. I'm about standing there, like, for a set sometimes in the bathroom and, like, make myself big so that it'll help me be big on stage. And I also have to remember that, a comic who's on stage and makes it look easy, that's a result of, like, years of preparation and hard work usually. So it's like I can't necessarily compare myself
shows, and where can we follow you?
Well, I'm terrible on social media, but that's probably the best place to find my info. On Instagram at AMBAWALKA. It's a variation of my name, Amber Walker, without the hard ER.
Okay.
So yeah, so check me out. Same thing across platforms: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok.
Okay. And do you have any upcoming shows or events coming up?
Well, yes, my partner and I do shows. I'm here in SoCal, so if you follow me on Instagram, you can see those. But we have a monthly down here in Long Beach at Clancy's every third Thursday, and in Pasadena every second Thursday.
Okay. Well, I will make sure I get all that information from you so we can make sure it goes in the description box down below so everyone will know where they can catch you, because I need to still catch one of these shows myself. So we'll make sure that could be a whole little day trip for me and the hubby.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, and we also have a podcast called The People's Report.
Okay.
Yeah, you can check that out at PPLS Report Pod.
Okay. So I'll make sure that's down there too. And you also have an Instagram page under that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. So we'll make sure all of that is down there. But guys, make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe if you like this video and want more of these. But I do want to say thank you again, Amber, for coming on here. I know you are very busy. So thank you.
Always a pleasure.
So until next time, guys, we'll catch you later. Peace.